topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the host and their guests, and not those of W4CS Radio, its employees, or affiliates. W4CS makes no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening to the Cancer Support Network on W4CS.com.
It's Arthi with Light Up Your Life, and hope you are off to a good start. And I cannot believe it's already mid-January. Where's time going? So as many people believe, I think we talked last week about resolutions, and I had mentioned that instead of making resolutions, we should become more conscious, like bringing ourselves to consciousness. And so I think today's discussion will be really exciting on when you set goals for yourself and what that looks like, but then where your journey and being on the journey where it leads to. And so I think, we often in January get so fixated. I know you've all been watching the commercials. I feel like they're not as intense this year with, the whole weight loss thing as they have been in the past. But we become so fixated on that goal number that we forget the journey of the process, right? And whatever that looks like. So even for me, who's put on some COVID weight, and in general, as I've realized in the 40s, it takes a while for weight to come off. I don't penalize myself as much because I know it's part of the journey. So for instance, over the weekend, I've been pretty disciplined from the first, Monday through Friday, and then I give myself some leeway on the weekends. But what I'm trying to say is in the journey, it's about longevity, right? And so I think we're finally realizing as a whole, when we do look at weight loss, that it's not just a short-term process. So I'm really excited about the conversation today with our special guest because she has her own experience in her own weight loss journey and then the transformation for her and the work that she does. So our special guest is, her name is Jess Bax, and she actually lives on the West Coast. And Jess is a personal trainer. She's also certified in meditation. Jess also has her own podcast. It's called Let's Chat with Jess Bax. And Jess also highly believes in affirmations. So we're actually going to have a lengthy discussion around affirmations because I love them so much too. And I have seen in the world of mental health what a role affirmations can do for people and how they can really, the power of positivity and what it can do in establishing and maintaining goals in a really positive way. And also just to build on self-love concept. And Jess is a social media influencer, and I just found out she also does work in event planning. And I'm sure she has a multitude of other things that she does, but really excited to have her on. So let's welcome Jess onto our show today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks, Jess, for being here, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What a year it has been already. 10 days in.
Right? Yes, I know. So let's start with that. I know everybody has had a lot of strong feelings around this year starting. What is your take right now on, it is a new year, it is a new beginning, but what do you feel for yourself personally, and what are you seeing in your space when it comes to energy and that whole thing?
Well, the new year, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve is my favorite holiday, I like to say, because it is a fresh start. And you can start at any time. Any fresh start can come through. But I think when we think about resolutions, as you were saying earlier, and setting those goals, having January 1st of a new year really sets you up for success and really gives you that motivation of how do you want to structure your life this year to better yourself in whatever way it may be. And when I think of my goals for 2022, I think big, as I hope we all really do. We want to set the bar as high as we can, but then we also want to give ourselves some grace if we do not reach those goals. And I think that's so important to kind of start with. So me writing my goals out for 2022, it started with health and wellness, as it usually does, because being happy and healthy is something that is so important that I've learned through many years of me going through my journey and really understanding what do I want to define. And in the beginning, a few years ago, it was strictly let's lose weight. Let's focus on that. And now it's more of, okay, how can I better myself personally and professionally in a specific way that's going to serve me? And I have set my goals up saying, okay, I'm going to meditate 10 minutes a day to start this year, get my mindset ready. I'm going to read 10 pages a day to really grow my knowledge. And then how can I continue on that path? And I've also set goals professionally, with being a trainer, with being in the meditative state and training people on meditation and leading them through those. How can I help others? So my biggest goal of 22 that I want to reach is how many people can I really help become happier and healthier? And every single day I wake up this year, I wake up and I affirm myself in 3 ways, and I take that energy on and I think, how can I really spread the light to others so they can feel that light in themselves, and then they can start looking at themselves differently in a better light. And I'm so excited that I'm able to do that.
That's so great. And I forgot to mention the title today came up to being the best you.
Mm,
And I
I
just
love
think
that.
it's fitting for January because um so I was just on a training. I was doing some um training videos in the parenting, because I am a parent
Yeah.
educator, and a part of it said just being a good enough parent is actually what we need to strive for.
Mhm.
And when I heard that today, and I've heard a lot of different things, right? So what is it about just being our better selves, our good enough self? So now I'm like, if I had known, I would have actually restructured our title of being the good enough self, because that's actually the key, is where I feel like we can start to live more fruitful, happy lives, right?
Right.
Because what happens is then we have goals, like you said, they're overarching, but
Mhm.
then you give yourself grace,
Mhm.
and then you keep propelling forward.
Yeah. And I love that you named this episode, being the best you. And I think when you say the enoughness, you say enough. And it resonates so deeply with me. Because with the new year, with it being 10 days in, we set these goals, and sometimes we feel like we fall short of these goals, even in the first few days. And I have actually been in the mix of, it's 10 days in and, oh my god, am I good enough? Am I good enough for hitting these goals? And I have been kind of going back and forth on that. And sometimes I think it's wild for me to say, because I am as far as I've gotten in my journey, but we all struggle with continuously questioning if we are good enough in that sense. And I think what I have found is kind of looking at it big picture. We really focus sometimes too heavily on the magnified day or the magnified version of ourselves. But if we actually pan out and see how far we've traveled and where we will go, the enoughness comes in. And to constantly say to yourself every morning, that affirmation of like, I am good enough and what I am doing today is 1% better. And that is getting to the enoughness. That constant reminder is so important for us to have.
Yes, totally. Okay, Chess, you already hinted on, excuse me, talk about the affirmations.
Mhm.
Can you actually, because you do a lot of work around it. So,
Mhm.
I mean, personally, professionally, but
Yeah.
can you talk about what is an affirmation? See, this is the thing. I have decided that everybody may know what they think they know, but then it always helps to have some type of working definition. So what is an affirmation in your lens
Mhm.
overall? And why is it important? And what have you gained, like, personally and professionally from having these affirmations? Because it is a part of your daily ritual,
Yeah.
as anyone can see on your Instagram page. Like, it is
Yes.
it is like you live, breathe everything it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And affirmations are so important. That's literally how I started my journey of life into this new person that I am today. And an affirmation in my lens is a set of words and phrases that state who you truly are. And I say that because when we say I am enough, sometimes we think, oh, well, that's not true. However, that is very true. And with affirmations, you must believe that to be true when you state those out loud. So, affirmations is constantly stating something, affirming yourself of something that you strive to be, but that you already are. And when I started with my affirmation journey and how it kind of took me to living and breathing in the affirmation world was in 2020 when the pandemic hit and we all, had to be locked inside and we had to sit with ourselves. And sometimes I would look around in the beginning of the first month and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm feeling a little funky, feeling a little dark. Why am I feeling this way? What's happening inside of me? What am I telling myself?" And I was not affirming myself. I was saying, "Well, you're stuck here. This is awful. You're not good enough. Like, what are you doing with this time? What are you doing?" So I got into affirmations and it was a meditative way of me to get into it where I just got onto a application called Insight Timer and I looked up affirmations of meditation and I sat there and for minutes, 15, 20 minutes, I just heard affirmation after affirmation. I am this. I choose this. All of these things. And I started feeling better and actually taking those in and understanding that, wow, when you actually sit there and listen to someone saying that you are good enough, that you should believe in yourself, that you have greatness inside of you, that you are light, you start feeling those things. And I've taken that with me for the past 2 years after I started those affirmations, and I've seen myself become lighter, become freer, become more me. And for affirmations to connect to me saying I can be more me, it makes me feel like I can be my more authentic self because I'm constantly telling myself that I am greatness, that I am something that I want to be. And when you go to my Instagram page, I am the affirmation queen is what I like to say. And every third post, you will see an affirmation that I create myself. And it is I am statements that I really like to focus in on and telling yourself that. And I even have on my mirror right now 3 affirmations that I say to myself every single day this month. And I will choose 3 different ones the next month and the next month of what we really need and really focusing in on those types of affirmations and continuously sharing them with yourselves and putting them out there in the world, you receive that back.
You're so right on, because there's science behind this stuff now too, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the cellular level and the vibrations that we say out loud to ourselves, or in, like, it is all vibrational
Mm-hmm.
frequency, and it goes to that cellular level of changing that they have found. These scientists are doing all these great studies on this stuff,
Yeah.
like not just meditation, but the
Right.
power of positivity, power of affirmations, and I do appreciate you talking about putting them on your mirror. I have found the difference of, like, having a piece of paper or having them on your mirror, especially in the morning. I think you talked about a morning part of your morning ritual.
Yeah.
It's really like a magnetic kind of energy,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Yeah. And I actually just led a presentation about affirmations and how to really state them. And I gave a few tips on that. And it's one, defining what your affirmation is or what your affirmations may be by thinking about a struggle you may be having internally, externally, whether it's in regards to enoughness, financial, anything like that. You define those affirmations and then you write them down yourselves. And you can start simple by saying, I feel this way, or I am this person. I'll say like, I am enough. And then you can expand on that by saying, I am enough because, and then you continue the sentence. I am enough because I know deep inside that I am worthy of great things. So you can continue that on. You write that down. It comes from your brain. It goes out through your hands onto a piece of paper so you can visualize it. And then when you put it on your mirror, you're seeing that every day. But don't just see it. Actually look at it. Actually say it. So I like to look at what I wrote on my mirror and I will say it internally. And then I will look at myself in the eye in the mirror, deep into my soul, and say, Jessica, I believe in myself. I am worthy and capable of all amazing things. I'm abundant in every aspect of my life. And by actually looking at yourself in the eye, I always like to make the joke where look so deep into your eye in the mirror that if your eyes move in the mirror, something's weird, something's up. But you're looking so deep inside that you are connecting with yourself and you are reinstating that. It's bouncing back and forth. That frequency, that high energy vibration, whatever it may be, is coming back and forth. And then you can take that and around you, even though you don't see it, your vibration is affecting people around you and you're bringing that type of energy into the world.
Totally. Yeah, and you're, I mean, 100% right. That feeling of, they say you have to have the strongest relationship with yourself, right? We're finally in this, we're finally getting, we're like, what is all this stuff about radical self-care, self-compassion? We're finally coming to the notion that the best versions of ourselves then can give the way that we're meant to give. So your example is so, like, it's just so easy, and it's so such self-compassion and kindness, right? To be able to start the morning that way. And Jess, in some ways it's like spiritual to me to have this experience, right?
Yeah.
Not religious, right? We're talking about a spiritual experience with yourself, to say, I look deep within my soul. Like, that's a spiritual moment.
Yeah. And there was a time where I was recording one of my first episodes of my podcast when I started back in July of 2020. I started my podcast. And I remember I would always have my mirror directly in front of me or next to me. Like my mirror is right here. I can look at myself if I'd like to. And I would always look at myself when I would talk through my podcast because I was talking through my experiences and I was sharing those things. And anytime I would glance at myself in the mirror, there would be times where I would start to tear up and I would start to cry a little bit, and not out of sadness. I feel like sometimes when I would say that, people would be like, oh, why are you crying? Why are you sad? I'm like, I'm not sad. I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, holy crap, I came so far. I'm crying because I'm so proud of myself because I have been on this spiritual journey. I have chosen myself first and looked deep within myself to be where I am today. And that speaks volumes to who I used to be and to who I am now.
It's amazing. You know, they say we're always trying to have our parents or some family of origin be proud of us. But at the end of the day, I think we do realize to a level that we can't always please our parents, right? It's just, we finally, I think you have to make sense to your story somewhere down the line. I think everyone has to come to peace with that. Mine might be easier because I love my parents, but they're both in heaven. But I still have that of like trying to please them. But it's different now, right? It's different. I have come to settle even. But what I'm trying to get at is the fact is that we have to find a way then that other primary relationship in our lives. So how do you make sense of settling with that, is what you just talked about?
About settling with myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
With yourself.
Well, I first want to go back to the whole parenting thing, like, like accepting, like, your parents and your parents accepting you, supporting you and things like that. I just resonated with that, where I had to understand that as much as I love my parents, that like I was projecting in those ways where I felt like I was kind of flying away from the nest, and then I had to actually support myself. And for some reason, I thought my parents didn't support me because it was different for what I was doing. And then once I finally said, no, I support myself, I was able to then say, well, if I support myself, then they must support me too. And that was the biggest realization I had of 2021, and to take that with me. And it was so empowering. And I'm able to have conversations way deeper with my parents because I don't have that projection that I was putting on them anymore.
Thank you for saying that. It is a project, right? We
Yeah.
often, and they have their own ties to the way they were embedded in some of their, right, their value
Right.
sets,
Yeah.
or however, and we don't often know, but the change that it comes is, again, like you said, when you make sense of your story, that you then become that authentic self to then present to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes there's not going to be that that 100% unconditional acceptance,
Yeah.
right? Like, it may not be there.
Right.
However, what can you settle for again? Is it good enough? Is that
Yeah.
support good enough?
Right. And I think it comes down to, the unconditional love is you first must choose yourself. You first must have unconditional love for yourself. And when you have that for yourself, then you're able to give that back to other people. And, with my journey, I didn't have unconditional love for myself, nor did that come out for other people. So the hard truth was, when I was really diving deep into myself of in 2020, was like, who am I now? And what am I choosing to be? Who am I choosing to be? And who do I want to be? And how do I get there? And reflecting on it all, I was kind of writing down all the things that I wanted to be better at, or that I knew that I lacked in. And that was, I was unkind. I was impatient. I was a very reactive person versus reflective. And every time I would choose someone else's thoughts versus choosing my own, which was this whole spiral. So actually sitting back and identifying, okay, here are the things that I want to work on to choose myself, and how do I do that?
Mhm.
And that's where, honestly, the affirmations came in so clearly, where I was just saying, I am calm, I am patient, I am love. And the way I can speak right now in this calm and patient demeanor is so funny to me because I like to think that now my art form is communication in conversations and being able to slow things down. But in the past, I was just like talking a mile a minute, and I wasn't thinking before I was speaking, and things weren't clear to me. And I was just kind of in this reactive state where I wanted to just share everything, but that wasn't really who I wanted to be or what I wanted to put out into the world. So I was finding myself not being as present in my mindset of what I wanted to really be. So taking a step back and being like, okay, I'm going to choose these specific things: kindness, patience, calmness, and I'm going to embody those. And once I embodied those specific things, that actually I had to unlearn from my family. And as much as incredible individuals as my family are, my parents are, you learn those things when you grow up, and they do their best. They did their best raising me. They did what they could. And but what do I want to take and from them, and what do I want to learn for myself so I can be my authentic self? Because my authentic self doesn't have to be how I was raised. It can be whoever I choose it to be, which is who I am today.
Yeah, you're right. We're not just imprinted.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're
Yeah.
realizing we're not all imprinted. I mean, they're showing that people can change at any age. And I know as a physical, I mean, and we can shift a little bit to your work as a personal trainer, but I'm sure you've worked with a number of folks, even in different age groups, or who may not have ever exercised before, but who really love it now. I mean, do you care to share like that experience with us? Because I on my own have seen when people can shift after years of not even know, right? It could have been either in
Right.
bed, it could have been a silent thing that they enjoyed and didn't even know, could have been something they came back to. They might have had an injury and they had trauma. I mean, all kinds of things. But anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to highlight one of my clients who has been with me since August of 2020. And when I met her, she just was recovering from a broken ankle, and she had a lot of loss and grief in her life, and she wanted to get back to it. She always was athletic and really wanted to get into moving her body more, and not just moving her body, but also working her mind. And we really partnered together to connect her to what she wanted to do for herself. And a lot of us think that we must go to the gym to work out, to work hard, get motivation, because working out at home can be difficult for us to kind of get that motivation and get started. So her and I partnered together and had virtual workouts together. And with our workouts, we started by, as some of my workouts can be a little intense, such as like burpees or a jumping squat. Those can be kind of hard for beginners to get into. And with her previous knowledge, she used to work out before and was trying to get back on the workout train, let's say. And what was so incredible to me was she wasn't discouraged by either me leading the workout, doing a jumping squat, or someone else on the call with us as we would do group calls together. She wouldn't be discouraged as they were doing more intensity workouts. She would do her modified workout, just do a squat or just walk out that burpee. And after 3 months, she was able to do 2 jumping squats. And then after 5 months, she was able to do 5 jumping squats. And now we are a year and a half in, and she is able to go to the gym, lift heavy, do as many jumping squats as she pleases, as her body will allow her to. And I've seen her go from almost 200 pounds to 150 pounds. She's lost 50 pounds with me in this time span. And I don't even want to focus on her body, because what's so important to me is the mindset shift. And when I started my fitness journey and when I started as a personal trainer, I was just like, go to the gym, work out hard, push yourself, eat healthy. That's all you need to do to be happy and healthy. And then after this shift in 2020, I started realizing, if I also looked at my own personal journey, when I went to college, I gained a lot of weight, and then I became really depressed. I became really anxious. So I thought working out was the solution. So I started working out. I lost all this weight, but I was more depressed than I ever was in my entire life. But I lost 30 pounds. How was I still in this negative mindset? So I started bringing the affirmations and the positive self-talk into my training with this amazing individual. And I saw her lose weight, but also communicate so much clearer to me and to herself. As in, I would have us go through journal prompts, and I'd have people share if they felt that the space was safe for them to do so. And she would take the space and share her journal entry. And I would just begin to cry tears of joy because of the poetic ability she had to share her journey herself. The things that she would say to herself was night and day from when we first started to even 3 months in. And then to see her now, it's so incredible the difference it can make when you can combine personal training and mindfulness together. Movement and mindfulness is kind of where I am today. I call myself a movement and mindfulness leader, because that is what's the most important connection to find that happiness and healthiness.
The trifecta of that mind, body, spirit. I mean, as much as we
Yes.
want to try to break it apart, it is everywhere, right?
Right. Yes.
I know everybody always wants to try to cut the top, even take the shortcut. There is no shortcuts to
There
this.
are no shortcuts. Yeah.
You brought up grief and loss, and I have definitely seen it a lot with people who have, right, and I'm sure
Mhm.
you have too. And again, it is, and I think it's amazing that you're using the modality of that movement and meditation, because you're right. Like, to do that work while you're physically doing the work, you still have to be, all three have to be working together in order for
Right.
that true self, that true authentic self we're all really striving for, as much as some people think they're not. I don't think we can run from it anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but they'll come get you.
Yeah. Like you could run, but you can't hide
No.
because we'll find you.
Yeah, they will find you. Every time. And you hear those stories of the 70-year-old feels like they found themselves and they wish they had found themselves earlier, right? You have those stories. Then you have all these stories of people trying to find their way, and it comes through this constant work, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
everybody doing their work.
And I think it all comes with divine timing. I mean, even as a 70-year-old, to find yourself, you found yourself. Celebrate
That's
that
right.
win. And that's incredible to be able to take that with you. And I mean, I'm so grateful that I was able to find myself and really dive into my authentic being and to be in an amazing city, San Francisco, and really tune into all of the amazing things it has to offer. I think I'm more able to see those things clearer because of me tuning into my authentic self and to actually stop and smell the roses and look around and watch a plane fly across the blue sky, having some white clouds form behind it and being like, wow, that's beautiful, I'm grateful for that. Calling out those things, in my thought, really tunes into your authentic self as well, to like really stop and admire that type of beauty.
Yes. Yes, and you're right. Like, um it's the idea, like, you're right. Yesterday I was just it was it when you have those cold days, you still want to be outside and you admire the sky and you look at it and you feel, and then sometimes my heart does go out when people don't get a moment to take that in, right? You have to be in a
Hmm.
certain framework.
Hmm.
Um, but when we start to allow ourselves the freedom to have those grateful thoughts, then one after another, like you said with the affirmations, it just becomes a floodgate after you open the door.
Yeah. And something that I really love to practice is something I really like to practice is expressing gratitude every day the sun sets, which is every day, even on cloudy sunset days, even if I'm not outside. I like to monitor when the sun's setting. It was 5:07 yesterday, and
Mhm.
I was grateful to be able to see a cloudy sunset on a hilltop in San Francisco. And expressing gratitude for the big things and the small things. And I think a lot of times we can really highlight the big things, like it's a sunny day today. It was warm today. I love my family and all of those. But calling out the small things of gratitude, things that we don't even think about, our breath that we have thousands of times a day. We breathe in, we breathe out, and we don't even acknowledge that sometimes. And when you're actually able to take a step back and be like, wow, I'm grateful for that breath. I love to every morning. I sit in my favorite chair, and I'm sitting in it right now. Actually, it's a Sherpa chair, and I moved it for this show, but usually I sit in a corner, and there is this bohemian salt lamp chandelier that's above me. And I sit there and I have my incense going. I have my essential oils going. The lights are dim. I have a nice book or a journal in front of me. And instead of just getting straight into learning or straight into journaling or looking at my phone, which I try not to do in the first few hours of the day, I look up and I look around my room I look around the space that I created, that I curated for myself. And I take a deep breath and I try and call out 3 things that I hadn't ever called out before that I maybe don't notice. And it could be the curtains hanging that allow me to sleep soundfully, or the little lamps that I have hanging around that, like this blue one, I have them all around my room. Or the moon phases that I have hanging above my bed. Those little things that bring me subtle joy, calling them out, I'm shedding light on them and acknowledging that when I walk into my room, I see my room as a big picture, but calling out those little things that actually make up my room is so special to bringing that gratitude into yourself, and going back to frequency, your vibrations, and like bringing that vibration into yourself, and then being able to, as I always say, share that with others. We are cohabitating, we are co-creating in this planet. And how can you be your best self so you can heal yourself and then heal the world?
Yeah. I love the word they use. Well, there are a lot of great words, but like I do, the more you look into feng shui and in Indian culture, they call it vastu, like taking care of your environment. I mean, there's even
Yeah.
like when we talk about just in every culture, every dimension, there is a form of that taking care of your physical space. Like
Mhm.
back to the energy center, like you're talking about, you have created that that sphere. So I just think it's important that we recognize how many ways we can better our journey when we better making subtle shifts.
Yeah. And it's like almost tuning into your 5 senses. I think that really helps with everything.
I agree. Do you have days where you like totally want to light a candle and other days you have a certain scent or you don't want to light them at all? Do you know what I
That's a
mean?
good question. Yeah. I think for me, I found such a routine where I mean, I am a big scent gal. I love my
Mhm.
scents, and I I ordered a big bundle of essential oils. There's probably 30 different scents in this essential oil bundle. And I've ran out of a few of those that I haven't replenished yet. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I could really use some rosemary right now. I'm like, okay, I don't have that. So like, what's the next best thing? But every day I wake up, I will go to the shower. I'll come back in, I'll fill up my diffuser, and then I'll pull out my briefcase of essential oils. And I'm like, what am I feeling today? And I really kind of took where, you can smell them all. And that's always a good scent to have. But they also give you basically a pamphlet of what specific scents do to your specific emotions. And if you are feeling anxious, what can you put into the water to let it fill the air and kind of calm yourself? Like peppermint's really good for like an upset stomach, really calming that down. And then lavender for more of a calm sleep, and chamomile, things like that. And with my incense, I'm more of an incense gal than candles. I think they just burn differently and make the room smell that much brighter in my sense. And there is a place around the corner called Lava Ganesha, and it is the most incredible store I have ever been into. And they have countless crystals, countless sound bowls, a million different scents of incense. And I'll spend a long time in there. But I found one that's a vanilla amber. And it is something that I lit before this show because it makes me feel most me. And it is my scent that everyone knows me as. And then anytime walks into my room, they're like, "Oh, it's Jessica's scent right now." Yeah, because I feel safe and I feel secure and I feel vibrant when I'm able to smell this vanilla amber that just lights up my nostrils, that lights up my life, makes me feel that the world is safe because I am in this world.
That's awesome. See, back to this whole space creation.
Yes.
That store definitely seems up my alley too. I really love.
Yes. If you come to San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury, please go to that store. It
Oh my
is
gosh,
absolutely incredible.
that's amazing. So Jess, can you highlight for us? We have still have some more great time together. What when you talk about your journey, when you talk about the that physical journey of losing the weight, then
Mhm.
where was your progression towards wanting to be like a certified personal trainer? Where did the meditation come in place? Because I think you did share with us how the affirmations just started to appear in that time
Right.
period, but the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, when I started my journey, it was back in 2014, and it was December 28th of 2014, and I was not feeling good about myself. I went to college and I knew I gained weight, and then I transferred colleges thinking that that was the reason why I was feeling so anxious and depressed, and maybe I'd lose the weight that way. And then this photo happened where I remember it so vividly. I love to describe it. I'm wearing this brown underwear that my grandma bought me in 7th grade and a leopard bra that I thought I looked cute in. And the way I was posing in the mirror, you could tell how insecure and uncomfortable I was. And once I looked at that photo, my entire being just sunk. And I'm like, I don't want to be this anymore. I don't want to feel this way anymore. So then I began working out for a New Year's resolution when I was like, I'm going to look great for spring break. So I did the work. I lost 15 pounds in 3 months, and I went to spring break and came back. And in a lot of my college experiences, a lot of people who did that, they would say, okay, I'm done. I did what I needed to do, and I'm going to just go back to the lifestyle I was living. But I saw the changes my body made and how it made me feel, the confidence I was feeling. I'm like, I'm going to keep going. So I kept working out. I kept losing weight. And finally, I was from 167 pounds down to 120 pounds within 2015 at this time. So I lost 35 pounds, 40 pounds, a lot of weight. And I thought that that was going to make me happy. But then I started looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, you could work on this. You're still chunky here. You don't look good. You don't look that. Like all of these things that I saying that I wasn't something or that I needed more of or I needed to look better, that I wasn't accepting where I was. And that carried on for a few years. When I moved to Kentucky after college, I decided that I like to teach people things. And I have worked on my body a lot. And people have noticed and they have asked me for specific help on their journey. And I was like, okay, well, what's stopping me from putting out myself and putting out things that can help others? So that's when I started Jess Bax Fit. And I started training and getting certified and then sharing all of the information I had with others about nutrition and macro counting, calorie counting, losing weight, how to lift, all of these things. But deep down, I was still unhappy with myself. My body was out there. I was helping people, personal training, all of these things, but I was never satisfied in my mind. And I kept telling myself I could do better. I was always looking for the next best thing. How can I improve myself here? And I think we always, when we set our goals, back to the goal topic, is like, when we hit a goal, we can't just be happy here. We're like, okay, we did that. So what's the next one? What's the next one? And we don't celebrate those successes, and they can get to our heads. And I moved back to where I'm from, which is St. Louis, Missouri. And I thought I was going to be happy there. I was going to continue my personal training. I started doing in-person boot camps. I had an amazing community of women, but I was so unhappy. And I think it came down to the environment I was in. I was in a relationship that I wasn't being satisfied with. I was kind of staying in because I thought I had to. And then an opportunity came to come out to California. So I'm like, I should try it. Why not? Let's give it a go. Let's move somewhere I've never been before with no one I know out here. Let's give it a try. Let's change the script, change the scenery. So I came out to California. I was really doing it all, working out really hard. And then the pandemic hit. And then everything got quiet. And it was quiet. And I was looking around and I'm like, it's just me. So how am I doing? I'm still working out. Like my body's still my body. I still have those days, a lot of days where I'm like, you could still work on that. You're not good enough there. And I'm like, what can I do to help me? And then I got into my affirmations and my meditations. I started journaling, I started reading. And once I started doing my meditations and using other people to really kind of guide me through that, I went back to, well, what's stopping me from leading these? What's stopping me from diving deeper and learning the ins and the outs of not just meditation, but thought processes so I can help myself? And then why not help others? So from that, I began getting certified in meditation and really sharing that out. And when I was able to start partnering and pairing together the movement and the mindfulness, I was leading virtual classes where we would do a 5-minute share around the room, get to know everybody. How's everybody feeling? Let's do our workout together. Let's see each other. Let's motivate each other. I was constantly like, you got it, Mel. You got it, Sarah. Just calling out all these people and seeing how they were pushing themselves a little bit extra in their body. And then once we were done with our workout, I would sit everyone down. I would say, all right, now calm your mind, close your eyes, let's focus on our breath. And I was able to lead them through a meditation afterwards and finding and seeing how people were adjusting their entire lifestyle, not just movement, but more into thinking about their emotions of why they're feeling back and forth on their bodies and why are they feeling sadness or anything that may come up. They were able to take that in and tune that in. And to me, it shows me my journey and how I can take my journey and put it in front of someone else and really share with them that journey and see how I know I have thrived in this environment. How can I help other people thrive just as much as I can? Because in my thoughts of purpose, my purpose is to help others. My purpose is to experience as much as I can, even if it's hard and it hurts, and then share that with others and help them learn about themselves is why I'm here.
That's so beautiful. So touching. I love when people describe their purpose. It always has something to do with service and seva and giving. And the only, so I have decided, like, there's so many complexities in life, but I just find that mindfulness and meditate, going inside of ourselves, and then this idea of service, however that looks, if you have those, I do think that it sparks everything.
Yeah.
I truly believe. And then no one can take those away from you, right?
Right.
No one can take you from closing your eyes and going inward.
Yeah. And that could be the hardest part, but the most rewarding.
Yeah, totally. Jess, can you share where everyone can get in touch with you? What's your social media handlers? Where can they look you up?
Yes, I have so many.
Okay, go for it.
You can find me on Instagram. My main source of conversation is Instagram, JBaxFit, as you see on the screen, JBaxFit, if you're listening audibly. You can find me on TikTok at JBaxBoy. I like to keep it a little fun there. So BOI on that one, where I share affirmations, journal prompts, and some fun dancing videos of myself to affirmations, because you should have some fun while you're affirming yourself. You can meditate with me on Insight Timer. You can just look up Jess Bax. A lot of meditations I post weekly. And then I also have Let's Chat with Jess Bax, which is on Spotify and Apple Podcast, that you can listen to and hear my journey as well as other people's journeys in their shares. And last thing I would love to say is I know we talked about goals earlier today. I am leading a goal workshop on the 29th of January at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And you can find that on my website at www.jbaxfit.com/workshops. And you can find me on that as well, no matter where it is. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm hopeful that this has touched someone and that they have gotten a lot out of it.
Yes. Thanks, Jess, so much for your time. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode. And as we all continue to better ourselves, I want to tell you all, just know that good enough is the way to go, and everything else is icing on that beautiful cake. Have
You
a
are
good
good
one.
enough.
You are good enough. That's right. I'm good enough. You're good enough. We're all good enough.
Heck yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye.